Good morning. So this week I'm in a local woods which I've been looking to photograph for months. It's now autumn and these lovely bracken are turning beautiful colours, and sorry about that, and it's raining, which is actually perfect because it gives the leaves a nice sheen. So as I'm learning kind of woodland photography, I'm not sure about a polarizer yet, but we'll have a look. But I've got the GFX set up under the umbrella, not because I want to keep it dry particularly, but I need to keep stuff off the lens. I've still got the lens cap on, but we've got some beautiful ferns over here, some lovely old pines. This wood is mixed in as much as there's a pine section and a deciduous section, and the ferns seem to really love being in here. And actually the trees to my left, which you can't see at the moment, are chestnuts, I think, and they are probably a bit early for them to go. They're just starting to go a bit yellow. I've got a bit of FOMO, really, a bit of I fear of missing out. I don't want to miss the autumn, so the thought of rain today was great because there's perfect conditions for landscape photography in the wood. So come down here, I'm going to have a go at some shots. Tomorrow, I was thinking before I left home this morning that I would go to the coast tomorrow, but as I left, I was just eating my breakfast and the weather forecast said fog tomorrow, which actually will be even better. So if I don't get a lot from today, and I think I will, if I don't get anything today, then tomorrow with fog is going to be great. So I'm using an app called What 3 Words on my phone. I've been here a few times in the summer, and when I've come across a nice scene, bearing in mind the light will be different, I've marked it on What 3 Words, saved it into its own little group. So each location around here, I've got little pockets of trees that I've marked out, which will be interesting. Funnily enough, I haven't come to one of those today, although I'm going to put the navigation on and we'll try and find somewhere that I've recommended or I found out for myself earlier. Wherever I look at the moment, it just looks beautiful. So the rain's coming down, the leaves are looking great. Let's get to work. So the main problem I'm going to get today is going to be keeping both you and the camera dry and the lens dry. So I'm really just enjoying this lovely scene with these beautiful chestnuts and the bracken. I've also been playing around with the aspect ratio, so this is going to suit a square. Now it will still give me a whole frame, so I won't lose all of that the camera, but it just helps me to see what's going to be and what's going to be not. I'm going to be trying to keep the sky out of the picture. Now the screen is really struggling. It's one of the things I don't actually like about the GFX, because this screen, the resolution is really pixely, because it's really finding it hard to struggle. Now I've absolutely no problem at all knowing that the camera will cope, because I've photographed them before like this and it's been absolutely pin sharp, but it's really hard to check the focus. But that looks okay. It's a little bit hit and hope. I'm using f8 8 seconds, so I want to have a little bit of separation between this main tree, this little group of trees here in the background. I've also going to go a little bit to the right with my histogram, because that will allow me to push and make it mistier than it maybe appears. Although it is the dark richness that I'm enjoying, but that is still easily exposed, and that's the only trouble with that, is it's a 20-second exposure, which I don't necessarily want. So we are going to get a little bit of movement, I guess, although it's a completely still day, but there is a little bit of movement when the water drops down. So this umbrella is just holding the rain off the lens, I've realised you can't see me. But that's probably a good thing. Just check that's all fine, and everything seems to be all right with that. This is really tough to do with a vlogging camera. I've got a cover over the vlogging camera and over you, which is soaked. I've got the umbrella over the main camera. You can see my hand there. But I want to try and show oh dear, now I'm coughing. So I want to show you what I've got there. And it's really just a case of the balance of the 3 pines. 3 to the left and 3 pines to the right, and that lovely green chestnut in the middle. And the water is making the leaves glisten. So that looks good. I might just try one with the polarizer to see what happens, but I think it will take the sheen off those leaves kind of there. I think that's what makes the shot come alive. This is a 65 by 34 crop, I want to say. It's one of the panoramic crops that was on the Fuji camera, and that crop actually prints brilliantly on panoramic paper, and I've got some photospeed panoramic paper back at my office, so I really would love to print this as a pan. I think it'll look beautiful. So that's why I've looked at it this way. Of course it will record the full file, so if I decide to do something else with it, then that will be fine. I've taken some square ones as well, as you can see there. That's another crop that might work well, but still raining heavily, still having a great time though. So I'm going to put the camera away now and see if I can't find something else. So the rain's beginning to stop, which is quite nice, but the wood's still lovely because all the leaves are wet and shiny. So I'll be honest, it was a bit of a struggle earlier on with 2 cameras trying to keep dry, 2 tripods getting caught in the bracken. I think it has stopped now. Now, I've come across this little scene here, which I quite like the silver birches hanging out of this hump. I mean, there's its roots, look. Big struggling. That's kind of nice, like that broken branch there. And I've tried to isolate it because it's on a hump. It's quite difficult to do, but in actual fact, there's quite some few tall pine trees, and actually shooting that panoramic crop means I can get rid of the light from the top. Thinking maybe a monochrome for this. I mean, I've battled today and thought and felt like today has been really nice. There's some beautiful pictures, but I just still struggling to see. What I'm looking for, I think, is probably what I'm doing wrong. I'm looking for small little trees stuck in between the big ones, but the small little trees haven't changed colour yet, so I'm still a little bit too early. But I really don't want to miss the sun, miss autumn. So let's have a little go at this, see what we think. I'll put it on the screen and you can tell me if you think it's rubbish or not. Right, let's get to work. So I know it's a bit of a struggle, but I really don't want to sound like I'm moaning, because actually it's brilliant conditions. Now, this one is using that panoramic crop I was talking about earlier, which I really like actually. I think that works quite well. So I've actually works well with this kind of display on, because I can get focused up where I need to get. I think we're going to focus actually on that root. I need to focus on the little root here, because that's for me is the main subject. So we're just going to focus that up, make sure that's dead sharp, which it is. So F5, that's going to give me some separation into the woods. Now, if you look at the background, it just looks really misty, and that actually is going to work really well. That's a little bit of the rain that's hanging around, or the mist is hanging around, and also the fact that I've put the exposure up to the top of the histogram. So yeah, I'm pleased with that. That's one of those pictures that looks better actually on the camera than it maybe does in real life. So maybe I'm looking too hard. Right, let's see if we can get another one. I'm going to walk down. These are lovely woods though, really enjoying them. So here's a nice scene I've just come across. You can see the light on these leaves. I won't touch them in case they fall off. And it's just a couple of yellow ones, probably a week early. But what I want to try and do, I love this tree here, this little group here. These are beech trees. And then we've got a pine tree here, one of the conifers. And then in the understory behind is that lovely bracken which I want to capture with some greens in it, because I think in a couple of weeks that will be completely yellow or brown. And actually the way the kind of tree, there's one that leans in a little bit, there's some nice leaves over here and another small birch over that way, and there is an old trunk which is quite interesting if the eye sees that. What I want to try and do is get Albert really high, because two reasons. I want to cut out the sun. I don't want any sky in it. Sun that says there isn't any. I want to get the sky out of it, and that will also frame this tree on the floor here, which will be really nice, and it'll also allow me to show the colours in the bracken and the trees through the back of the scene. So there's some people coming, but I'm going to get that set up now, and I'll show you when I'm taking it. Doesn't have to go that high actually, we've gone high enough. Composition looks quite good. There's a tree, let's take a picture while we're at it. There's a log, you can see it, yeah, this one here, which is kind of has to be thought about. I thought it might be annoying, but actually it's quite a nice part of the woodlands, which means that I didn't really want to crop that off. So what I've done is had to include this stuff up here, and those little chestnut trees, small ones. There's a couple of little interesting bits of colour, some bits of moss on the floor, which is quite nice. With the camera where it is, I'm getting the stump in, which is there. Okay, and the trail has got leading me on through there. So actually this looks quite nice. It kind of rises up and then comes back in goes out to the right and then comes back into the left with the colours of the bracken. The tree also, the little baby chestnut, is leading the eye up the path. So I might just go a little bit higher just to separate it from the pathway a touch. Actually, it probably does work a little bit better because I get a little bit more of the ferns in that way, the bracken. I'm just going to tilt the camera down so I can keep that log in place. Make sure we're level, although actually being level in a wood doesn't matter a great deal. Just going to check the focus one more time. And that looks fantastic. So f5.6. 1.3 seconds. There we go. So I've come across this little scene. This will make a nice 1x1 square crop, I think. Attracted to me was this. This is a sweet chestnut, I think. The tree next to it isn't, it's one of the pines, but this is a sweet chestnut. And just the look of the bark, the fact that it's rain sodden now, it's gone really dark, which I really like. It was shining, glistening, and then the contrast between that and the conifer, which is dead straight. Then we've got a nice dark background, got a holly tree here, some nice ferns, and this in the front actually is going to make a nice scene. The light is really lovely now. I think this is going to be pretty much the last picture, because I think it's going to get too high and too harsh, but at the moment the light's looking lovely and I'm really enjoying this. This is going to be great. Again, probably not going to use a polarizer. I want these reflections to show through, to give it a little bit of buzz. I might put it on and just try a half polarization, maybe experiment with it. The other thing about the light being better now, and in other words brighter, is because it means that I can use a faster shutter speed to kind of blur or to freeze the leaves. They're not moving a lot, but they are moving a little bit. But what a wonderful morning out it's been. Really enjoyed it. But you should come out in the woodland in the wet and it's raining. The amount of people said to me, "Oh, not a very nice day." It's beautiful because it makes all of these leaves glisten and shine, and you don't get the problem of the really bright sky. We've got it coming very shortly, but being in the rain in the woodland, it's just wonderful. Not easy to vlog, but wonderful. Right, let's shoot this then and see how we go. So this is what I'm seeing. We've got a little bit of sunlight have just appeared, which I'm going to shoot and then think about it, because it is lighting up the bracken in this right hand corner here. I don't want that to be distracting, but I do like the light on the pathway in the background. That's a better light. You can see it's gone slightly more subtle. It's a little bit of cloud cover. That's better because that's going to give us a little bit of interest through the picture. I've got a little bit of bright light there, but look at the square crop. It looks really, really nice actually. So 1.3 seconds to 6.4. So we are getting a very small touch of movement, but I'm really not worried about that. I don't mind that at all. That's lovely actually. I quite like that scene. I just packed away and walking back to the car, and look at the light. It's I mean it's a bit harsh, it's a bit high now, but about 10 minutes ago when I was shooting this frantically, I got some lovely light rays. You can still just about see them coming through here and this lovely scene. And there's a little tree over there, and that's kind of my main subject really, although it's in the corner of the composition. But I'm really enjoying these 65 by 24, 65 by 34 crops. Let's just focus you up. Absolutely gorgeous. So this is going to print really well on panoramic paper. I'm definitely going to be printing some of those out. I'm going to go back to the car now and call it a day. I've had an absolute great time. Rain, then it cleared up, and now the sun's out. I'm in some woodland. It smells gorgeous. It's absolutely fantastic. There's nobody about. I was just shooting the scene back there, which I'll show you the image for, and it was a 6-second exposure, unfortunately, because as I pressed the shutter, there was a deer that ran through, a roe deer, little baby one. I was like, oh, if only, but it was in the distance. I don't think it'd seen me, which is really nice. So it's just a magical moment. I've had a 10-second delay on now rather than 2 seconds, because when the tripod's really high, I just felt it wobble a little bit and it wasn't settling quickly enough. So I've had 10-second delays on. I've done another 3 or 4 pictures. I'll share them all with you. But autumn is definitely on its way, certainly with this bracken. And I think another couple of weeks I'm going to have absolutely great fun doing this. So I mean, I've really enjoyed today. It's been brilliant. So thanks ever so much for tuning in. I'll see you next week. Until then, like the video, subscribe, take care, goodbye.